Okay. Okay, so you've all successfully made a class, and the way that pupils join it is by getting this class code here, which if you've forgotten, you can get off here, and you can also print it. So you could print a full page like this.
Yeah, they've all gone home with a copy in their home learning packs.
Excellent. So everybody's clear on how pupils join the class, yes?
Yes.
Because, yeah, so they're starting to get in there. But let's look at your class as an example, because we're logged in as you. So when you go in here, you see any conversations. So you've got some unread conversations there. Some children have messaged you. And any classes that you have ownership of. So if you want someone else to be able to send feedback to children in your class, as well as yourself, you can add them as owners.
Okay.
And you do that in settings, manage owners, add additional owner, yeah? So if you add them, any of those, your class setup will also appear in their My Busy Things area, and you can share and review who's sent what feedback and so on, and you can also share the task of setting work. So that's quite a nice thing to be aware of. So you can have more than one of these. Now, if you look, it says registration group, okay? So the concept of a registration group is that it's the children that you teach on a daily basis. So the concept on Busy Things is you create a registration group in order for the children to exist on Busy Things. And then what you can do is to personalize their learning is also put them in a teaching group. But you can't put them in a teaching group until they're in a registration group, okay? So let's go into assignments and make an assignment, but just send it to one pupil or a small group of pupils, yes?
Yes,
so the way you do that is you assign a project, or whichever one of those you want, and you go through the normal process, which you have already been through, taking the defaults. With this kind of project, you're being asked if you want a template. If you don't choose a template, the children can choose their own. But if you want all of them to do the same template, you can choose it. And then if you look here, you get to this, excuse that, you get to this step 3, where and when, okay? So at the moment, it's just assuming that you want to send it to all the pupils in your class. But what you can do is create a teaching group, okay? So if I create a teaching group, again, it's another, take the default on this, and it defaults to teaching group. Again, you can get someone else to manage this teaching group if you want to, for them to have it in their area as well. So this teaching group might be for a particular, an individual, in which case you could put their name here. It might be just for, say, some phonics work that you just want certain children to do. So let's, I don't know, for the purposes of this, and I'll delete this when we finished, I'll just call it group 1. And the nice thing about a teaching group is that you can access content at all levels. So at the moment, we're just searching content in your class setup, but this is a way of accessing sort of easier and harder content as well, a teaching group. So you can access all the content on Busy Things. So if you're year 1 teacher, you can also access Key Stage 2 content if you want to push a child further. I'll just check whatever there, and you can personalize what it looks like too. Okay. If this was, say, a teaching group that you were setting up for phonics or similar, you can change the landing page here. So you could, where we go to English, this is basically looking at the structure, the menu structure that's in the setup, and you could change it to, say you wanted to just do phase 2, 3, 4 letters and sounds, if this was going to be a phonics teaching group. So this is only visible in the pupils My Busy Things area, save. And at the moment there's no pupils, so we want to add a pupil. And we're going to add that one pupil from your class. Which is your class again?
2 AP.
Yeah. And who are we using? Just remind me. Are they on here?
I think you were using a login for Altea, but I'm not sure if she's logged in just yet. If it helps, you could assign it to, I know you're not logged into that child, but you could assign it to Ida, as I know she's logged in.
I'm going to delete it anyway. So this is where you would start grouping. You would ordinarily click on your class and think, it's for these children or that child or so on, yeah? So close. So what you've done is you've, along the way of making this assignment, generated a teaching group. And that teaching group now exists in your My Busy Things area with that child on. So going forward, you would go into that teaching group to send an assignment. You wouldn't go through this process again and again and again to send that child an assignment, because you'll see that you've got this group now in your My Busy Things area, and there's an assignments button in there. So I'm going to, if you send a blast at this point, it will basically send this picture and the instructions that you type in here to that child's My Busy Things area. Have you seen blasts working?
Yes, we have.
Yeah. So we won't do that. But just to reiterate what we've done, the assignment's not in there, it's in here, because we sent it to this child, yes? So
Yep.
in this, now you've generated a teaching group. So that could be the name of the one child that you were talking about. And behind there are all the tools that you need to manage that child and send that child or that small group of children work. And do you remember I changed the landing page? So if this was a teaching group for phonics, when you go in there, you just see phonics games. The children will just see phonics games.
Okay.
So when you've got a teaching group, when the child logs in to their My Busy Things area, do you want, which class is this child in?
My class, 2 AP.
Do you know?
But I'm not sure. It looks like they haven't logged in yet.
Do you want me to join them or not?
You can do, that would be fine.
Do you remember your class code, or do you want me to go and get it?
No, I think it was .58.
Let's check your memory. .58, like that?
Yes, I think so.
Yes. Okay. Right, so that child's going to get a surprise because they won't need to do that. They're already in. Okay. So what I was going to say, if we'd put Altea, is it?
Altea.
Altea in a teaching group, it would appear here. So, and it's a bit of a smaller version of the class one. So it would appear here and it would say My Teaching Groups. And then she goes in there and she would see all the landing page or however you've customized it. And any assignments that you send her through her teaching group will still go in this main assignments area. So her assignment would come here along with, because she's a member of the class and a member of the teaching group, both assignments will go in there. So she's receiving an assignment that no other children in the class are receiving at that point. Is that all clear?
Yeah, that is, and that's really helpful actually, because we've got a few children across the school that will need differentiated work, so that's going to really help. Yeah. Thank you.
The other way to think about differentiating is that, as I said, when you create a teaching group, you can set it at levels from all year groups to start with, so that the content in here is at your chosen level. But you can also be mindful of the fact that when you go into one of your class setups, your registration groups or your teaching groups, and you use these tools, it's only searching your class setup for content. There's nothing to stop you coming right out here and searching the whole of Busy Things here and pinning it for your children or blasting it to your children. So you can, in the same way, if you've got a particular child, say, who is particularly good at maths, and you're a year 1 teacher, but you want to do some year 2 content, so I've changed that to, sorry, not year 2, Key Stage 2. I've changed that to that age group. I'm looking for a maths game for them. So you can go in to the games, and before you, so now I'm looking at Key Stage 2 content, and I can start looking at blasting that to my class. You see what I mean? So I can blast a Key Stage 2 game to a year 2 class.
Yep.
Because I'm using these tools out here and not the ones in here. So this is to search your main sort of body of content that we recommend for you. But there's nothing to stop you using the whole of Busy Things with your class. Okay, so was it pins you were asking about? Is there anything else?
Yes, last night.
Sorry, you've cut out.
Last night on the basic training, they mentioned about how to pin activities to the homepage.
Yes. Okay. Do you want me to show you?
Could you just go? Yes, please.
Okay. So the same thing applies, as I said. If you just want to search the activities for your year group, use these to find an activity that you want to pin. So if you go into search, you can use a search term, a subject area, and an activity type. If you go into the curriculum browser, you're actually starting to look through curriculum objectives in order to find content. So let's find a science activity, living things and their habitats, year 2. So we've got all this content starting to appear here. So I'm going to do this one, create a mini beast, pin to set up home page. You can play an activity when you're in a search tool, so you can go and have a look at it. And when you click the back button, you'll come back here. So you go and check it out, and then you jump on this red button and you pin to set up home page. Now you get, depending on the activity type, you get quite a few options. So I'm going to call this science, and I want to pin it for the whole class. Again, you get the option to pin it to one child or a group of children by creating a teaching group. Your teaching group should appear in here as well if you have made a teaching group. Yeah, there it is. That's the one we made earlier. Yeah. So we could be pinning this just for the child in that group. But we're going to pin this for the whole class. Again, if you choose a template, that's the template all children will see. If you leave that blank, they can choose their own. So I'm going to click confirm there and let them choose their own. And at the end of that, you can blast it, but it's not really necessary to blast a pin because this will just appear in their My Busy Things area. So say we find another activity, think of a pin as a folder. I can just go to the same option and add to an existing pin and click confirm. So we've now got 2 in that pin. So if I go over to being a child in this class now, here, I'm just going to reload the page. So I'm going to have to log in again. Just 1 second. I've got it here. So this is a child in your class. So I'm going to show you what that pin that we've just made, that folder with 2 activities in, looks like to him. Oh, you don't, we tell people all the time not to do that, and I've just done it. Right, okay, so we're logged in as a child in your class, and when they go in here, that's where the pins appear. So those are the
Okay.
those are the 2 activities that we've just sent forward. So if this child goes and does this activity, they'll get an option to save it, and it will go in here into their My Files. When this child does an assignment, they get an option to save and carry on or to submit. And that goes into their completed, there's a completed assignments will appear under here. Once he's done one, she's done one. And also it will appear in their timeline. So they get a good idea of you know, what work they've got. And the nice thing is when they change class, so when they join class next year with a new, you know, and you give them a code for wherever they've gone, they'll take their files with them so they can keep them, their work safe that way. So that's a pin. The nice thing about pinning activities, so if we do an activity with some settings here, is you can pin it at different levels as well. So if there's settings available, they will appear off this red button. So be mindful of that and have a look first how hard you want to set it. So you can pin the same activity at several different levels, and the children wouldn't necessarily know if you're sending them to different teaching groups. They'll all think they're playing the same game, but they might be playing at different levels. So that's the nice thing to be aware of. You can also, I don't know if Sue showed you this, you are, in the same way that we changed the landing page of the teaching group, you're always free to do that in your class setup. So to stop them roaming around here, but at the moment, I guess you might want to encourage them to have a look at anything and everything. But say you were doing a science week and you just wanted them to look at these activities, you can change the landing page at any point here. So I went up to settings, and you've also got a hide show content button. So you could hide some of this before you change the landing page to this page. Okay, so now your pupil here, I hope this works this time. Yep. When they go into the class, they're just seeing science. Okay. If you want to just send a message that says, go into the class and do the science and play with the science activities, then in your blasts area, over here, back in your tools, you can send a basic blast, and that is just a message. So if you wanted to send just a message to say to the whole class or to a teaching group that just appears at the top, that's where to use it. Look out for these start and finish things and how long they last for. That's in the assignments as well and in the pins. So you could plan for a new pin to appear each day or a new assignment to appear each day. So sending feedback, if you look in here, you've got 6 submissions here. We look at your results. These are the children who haven't done it yet. And you can send them all a reminder to say, can you log into Busy Things and do this? And here you've got checkboxes. So you can batch feedback. So send feedback to selected there. You can also click on the questions of quizzes to see which question is the one that they're most commonly getting wrong. And obviously you've got the option to send individual feedback here. And what that does is it sends a message into their My Messages area on My Busy Things. So yeah, a quick way in is to go results, and you can click to see what they've done. And you get a summary up here. 13 pupils have not yet completed. 1 pupil has started but not yet submitted. Rupert had a go, but he didn't finish it. So those kind of features are unique to the assignments area. Pinning is just a folder of games, so it's a very cut down version of your class setup. You can also send feedback from the class timeline, so we can see what children have done what at a glance here. And you can click on individual children to see if they've been doing anything else. If you can't remember if you sent feedback, you can click review feedback and it will tell you if you have or you haven't. Is that okay? Have you got any other questions?
My only other question really was just something that a parent mentioned to me earlier. The parent I was speaking to only has access to the internet via their mobile phone.
Yeah.
Are the children able to access all of the features on a mobile phone? I know that some of the games are obviously cut down.
No, no, I'm afraid not. No, they do get a handful of games to play, but they don't get the My Busy Things area. No, because I mean, if you imagine trying to do an assignment on a phone, it's not going to work. You're not going to be able to.
I just thought I'd double check because obviously we do have parents who may not have access by tablet or computer or things like that.
Yeah, I mean, they will get a handful of games that we think the experience is reasonable, but they're not going to get a My Busy Things area.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Right. Is that okay? I feel like you were kind of halfway. I'm used to explaining a bit more than that, but you seem to be pretty much there. Yeah, so the answer to most of your questions is through teaching groups, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that was the main thing. We've been assigning tasks, but we've been assigning them to all the class, and we do have children who need things differentiated. So you've answered my question there.
Yeah, put them in a teaching group. You can either do it here ahead of time or you can do it along the way. So you can add more and more teaching groups here. If you click plus next, select teaching group, and you'll go through and eventually get to choose the class. So again, you can only add children from a registration group into a teaching group. You don't want to start creating additional registration groups for them because then they're going to have 2 separate identities going on and it would be messy.
Yeah.
Okay. If you look
No,
at the icon, you
that's
can see the concept. So it's subtly different, I know, but that's a full class and this is a small group from the class.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right.
No, that's lovely.
I'll send you a link,
Help.
Amy, when this is processed. All right.
That's
and
fantastic.
you can hopefully the other staff can watch it and have a go.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you so much for your help.
All right then. Thanks, Amy. Bye.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.